Let's explore how meditation could be more useful than visualization. The divorce advice our lamas gave us was to visualize. To visualize our environments, to actively visualize our environments as a paradise, our bodies as a yadam, our voice as a mantra, and our minds as a bija. But what's wrong with that, you might ask? But wait, there's more. Self-help gurus told us to visualize ourselves with the lover of our dreams, the income of our desires, and the promotion we long for. What's wrong with that? Active visualization is an indulging of our controlling tendencies. It is an indulging of our rigidity, as is every act of concentration. It is an indulging of our yang tendencies to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and eventually cruel. The opposite of yang is yin. The opposite of being rigid is flexible. The opposite of fear is love. The opposite of being controlling is being laid back. The opposite of being elitist is egalitarian. The opposite of being cryptic is lucid. The opposite of being competitive is cooperative. The opposite of being cruel is being kind. What then? What is the opposite of visualization? It could be mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we mean to or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It evolved to support neither extreme of mind blanking or active concentration, but instead, this is important to merely notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Perhaps that is why this meditation archetype is painted naked, to remind us of this vulnerability. Vulnerability is the price we pay for peace and love and joy and fulfillment. Mindfulness, we notice all manner of things. We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could also notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We could notice our fondest dreams. We don't have to jot them down. We can't forget them. Are you kidding? But what about our worst nightmares? What about the things we know, suspect, or fear could oppose the spontaneous and effortless fulfillment of those dreams? That is exactly where meditation comes into play. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system. It too can be found in the spinal cord, this time in the lower lumbar region, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. And it evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So here is the $100,000 secret. Whatever dreads, whatever obstacles, real or imagined, we experience during our inhalation, we have the capacity to relax and release during our exhalation. Now, release is not a fancy way for shoving something away. Au contraire, it's about making peace with the present moment, whether that present moment is interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. Any idiot can be happy when they get what they want, when they want it, for as long as they want it. What separates the men from the boys, what separates the women from the girls, is the ability to have peace in the presence of that which they do not desire, in the absence of that which they do crave. resistance. Resistance to the presence of what we hate, resistance to the absence of what we love. This is the most efficient way of squandering our life. The more we meditate, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, perhaps once every 12 hours, the more we will be defined by the following aphorism. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we will accept whatever comes, accept whatever stays, and accept whatever goes. To maintain peace, not philosophical, but visceral peace, regardless of what comes, stays, or goes. That is true wealth. Great joy, great wisdom, great love, great peace. These are your allies. Be vulnerable to your fears, be vulnerable to your desires, release during every exhalation, and watch as that which manifests is even better than what you ever hoped for. I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you wouldn't have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us practice easy meditation. There is a myth that the harder something is, the better something is, but Einstein would disagree with that. It is said that Einstein quipped that any educated idiot can make things more complicated, more difficult, and more violent, but that it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction. We don't need to chant, but I found that people enjoy chanting as a sense of closure. So we're going to treat chanting, a very brief chant, as the way a runner treats the starting blocks and the finish line. Our opening chant, our opening recitation, will exercise the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. We're going to play with two versions. The first version is elaborate, and we're setting it to a triplet chant. Please recite with me. From the heart may I yearn to liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee, Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We're going to take this idea and compress it through the power of figurative language. We're going to set the second recitation to the bookend chant. And we're going to perform it for 3 repetitions. Together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. This is not a prayer. We are simply using words to guide our intention. We place our hands in the puckered palm position before our chest simply because it's an efficient way of coalescing real or imagined subtle energy within our central channel. Having done that, we are now ready to meditate. As a child, my grandmother had one of those special step stools that was designed to lop a finger off if you weren't careful. It had 3 steps and a seat. Similarly, we're going to take a 4-step process to get you up to contemplative cruising altitude. So I don't want to repeat that which I already explained during the opening lesson, so I will explain this. If we're not supposed to concentrate actively upon our breath, what we do with our breath, we treat our breath the way a piano student treats their metronome. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite the following 12 syllables, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Similarly, when we notice our body exhaling, we can recite an additional 12 syllables, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Let's do this for about 12 repetitions or so. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite sitting tall, thus reminding our body to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. During our exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite, notice this. Now, this could refer to the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, or the grotesque. During our exhalation, let's continue reciting the verb relaxing. The Buddha taught an eightfold path. The first fold of the eightfold path is right view, but that's pretty cryptic. It is elucidated in the Anapanasati Sutta as change. And that's great, because we ain't concentrating, we're just practicing mindfulness. And so we notice things change all the time. What changes? Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. What also changes? Emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginings. They change all the time. Our job is not to contrive a static circumstance. Nature's always in flux. We resist nature at our peril. We cooperate with nature at our wisest. Our job is not to fall into the duality of painful or pleasant emotions. Whenever we experience an emotion, whether it's pleasurable or painful or interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque, it's simply an emotion. It's neither good nor bad. It's just an emotion, turbulent, ever-changing, and its only name is this. The Dzogchen Lamas teach that our practice of mindfulness and meditation gives birth to the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. Concentration and contemplation activate our amygdala, the seat of aggression and anxiety. Mindfulness and meditation shift our blood mass to our anterior cingulate gyrus just a few centimeters behind our forehead, which functions as a seat of empathy. Perhaps that is why this archetype of meditation is depicted as beautiful. Let us switch gears. Consider, if you will, this gal, the color of a cumulus cloud, actively sporting in tantric union, reminding us that spontaneity always trumps contrivance. Consider the manner in which her partner passively enjoys the same tantric union, reminding us that not all spontaneity is created equal, and that scattered spontaneity is always trumped by its centered counterpart. Its centered counterpart that is the natural fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow in the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life could be as blissful as the real or imagined paradise of a Buddha of lore. During the remaining inhalations, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During the remaining exhalations, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Having successfully climbed to contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa upon Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. I will check for questions approximately once every 8 minutes or so. Good evening, James. Beautiful. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. As we breathe in, we can watch the play of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we exhale, we can physically relax into the non-graspable nature of mind as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Due to our sympathetic nervous system, we are already wired to practice perception during each inhalation. Sometimes our brain gets in the way. That's why we give it a little job to do, such as silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this. Similarly, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, every time we exhale, we are already wired for physical relaxation and mental release. However, again, our brain can get in the way unless we give it a simple task, such as silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Let us seal this evening's practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of Buddha's Eightfold Path. Please chant with me. May all master change in wishing, love, as well as kind communication, conduct, and commerce. May all master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity, as well as mindfulness and meditation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.